On passing through the curtained archway into the Square Salon or Theatre Salon, similar furnishings to those in the Grand Salon are seen. Here is the furniture used by the Ministry of Finance in this room when it occupied the pavilion. The glass doors to the boudoir are immediately to the left. Opposite, to the right, in the east wall, is a door leading to the gallery of introductions and the grand antechamber. Between the archway and the other door back to the Grand Salon is a decorative panel. A matching, smaller panel is over the doorway. The opposite wall, on the north side, has a similar arrangement. A wide doorway leading to the small dining room is separated by an identical panel from the more ordinary doorway out of the apartments. The west and east walls of the Theatre Salon are symmetrical. On each, a large central panel of red brocade with gilded frame separates a door and a window. The windows open to the west on the main courtyard of the Louvre and on the east to what is now the Marly courtyard. The western side centres on the full-length portrait of the Emperor Napoleon III and the eastern on the full-length portrait of the Empress Eugénie. These portraits are copies, possibly by Abel Terral, of the originals painted by Franz Xavier Winterhalter, which are said to have been destroyed in the Tuileries fire of 1871. A similar copy of the Empress's portrait was sold at Christie's in 2001 for £21,150, and one of the Emperor at Bonham's in 2003 for £7,050. The ceiling is lower in this room than in the Grand Salon, and the coving less decorated. Its gilded pattern of stars is interrupted only in the corners by pairs of cherubs, one on each side of a vase of flowers. The sculptures in this room are by François Théophile Murger. The rectangular ceiling has at its centre an oval painting, 5 meters by 4.4 meters, an allegory called The Seasons of Flowers, by Auguste Ernest Gendron, 1817 to 1881. At the southern end are 3 half-naked female figures. On the left a redhead draped in white, in the middle a brunette in red-brown, and on the right a blonde in yellow. They are bound together by tendrils of morning glory and honeysuckle. In front of them is a little Cupid draped in red. At the northern end, another group of 3 female figures, on the left draped in blue, in the centre draped in pink and white, with one arm raised, and perched on her finger a dove, kissed by another flying dove. The third figure is in brown, and embraces another little Cupid. The frame is an oval within a rectangle, with gilded foliage in the spandrels. At the northern and southern sides of the frame are pairs of cupids, with tambourine and bagpipes. 4 chandeliers are suspended from the mouths of lions at the corners of this rectangular frame. The oval within a rectangle is surrounded by an outer framework of angular coffering. In the eastern and western portions of the coffering are pairs of cherubs supporting an ornamental shield. The regularity of the ceiling is broken by the curved shapes, with more winged cupids reclining on their slopes over the main arch and door in the northern and southern walls. Entrance to the small dining room from the Theatre Salon is through doors with 4 leaves, and one sees immediately across the small room to the doors on the opposite side. Although the room is basically rectangular, the painted niche gives the impression that it is round. An oval table adds to this effect. The walls of the small dining room are panelled, except where the alcove displays a large, curved trompe-l'œil painting representing an arbour. The arbour has caryatid figures supporting a trellis dome. Plants and birds and the jet of a fountain are seen against a summery sky. The painting was executed by C. Héron. Is it a coincidence that one of the most prominent of the birds depicted is a heron? The perspective of the alcove was designed by Adolphe Forestier, 1801 to 1885. And the contractor for the decorations was Laurent Jean Lausanne, 1809 to 1877, known as Laurent Jean, a man of letters and a painter who was a close friend of Honoré de Balzac and Prosper Mérimée. A drawing by Le Fuel shows that it was originally planned that the whole alcove would be panelled, with a fireplace in the middle. In common with the Theatre Salon and the grand dining room, the small dining room has no fireplace. The wall panels are of ebonized wood and gilt below, and above they are painted to look like marble. The boule-style furniture is similarly of ebonized wood, decorated with gilded bronze acanthus leaves. The heavily gilded ceiling has in its centre a decoration of concentric circles. The outer central circle, a gilded garland, is flanked on the west, window side, and on the east, alcove side, by smaller circles. Each of these two smaller circles supports the back of two youthful, goat-footed satyrs, seated and holding in their hands pan-pipes and cymbals. The corners of the ceiling are decorated with a swirl of gilded foliage. All this is contained within a rectangular frame, above gilt coving, patterned like the rest of the ceiling's background, and the corners enriched with further gilt foliage. Le Fuel's drawing of the ceilings of this suite of rooms naturally includes the small dining room. From the centre of the ceiling hangs a single chandelier, whose lighting is augmented by 4 10-branched gilded bronze candelabra, each standing on a console table. The candelabra are by Ferdinand Barbedienne, 1810 to 1892, a well-known metalworker and manufacturer whose foundry cast bronze statues by artists such as Rodin. Entry to the grand dining room is through 6-fold ebonized wood and gilt boule-style doors, enabling the room to be enlarged by the space of the small dining room. One sees immediately that this room carries on the same mixture of curved and straight lines as the previous room, but in a grander manner. To the left, west, 3 rectangular windows with curved tops, emphasized by the curvatures of the coving, are separated by piers. The paintings on these piers, rectangular but with curves below and above, are hunting scenes. The oval paintings in the spandrels above are scenes of falconry. These paintings are by Louis Godefroy Jardin, 1805 to 1882. He was known as Le Raphaël des Toutous, the Bow Wow's Raphael, because his speciality was painting portraits of the dogs belonging to the emperor and his high society hunting friends. A drawing by Le Fuel reveals a change in the design of the piers, originally envisaged with male Atlantes framing the lower paintings and with sculptures on the spandrels above. The caryatids, now feminine and more fluid, form part of the gilded framework on the spandrel paintings. On the other, east side of the room, windows are reflected in mirrors, which open onto the corridor at the side of the dining room, forming a servery with counter. Visitors are not allowed to enter this room, but can view it from the doorway and from here. At the far end, an archway repeats the door arch. The wall here is curved, reminiscent of the small dining room. It displays another large hunting scene painted by Jardin. The lower part of the wall is occupied by an immense sideboard of ebonized wood, decorated boule style with gilded bronze and surmounted by a clock. Over the doors, windows, mirrors, and apse at the end wall, gilded decorative circles separate the gilded arches. The coving is entirely taken up by these circles and by the decoration surrounding the oval paintings, except in the corners of the room where the spandrels contain a different gilded ornamentation. All this carved work was designed by Emil Knecht. In the corners above the spandrel decoration and over the central circles on the long walls are stucco putti, also designed by Emil Knecht and painted under the supervision of Laurent Jean to look like Dresden china. These putti appear to be perched on or fluttering above a trompe-l'œil balustrade, the perspective of which was designed like that of the small dining room by Adolphe Forestier. The balustrade itself rests on a band of gilded fruit running all round the room. Some of the stucco putti hold real garland-like chains, from the central point of which chandeliers are suspended. The three chandeliers thus do not hang straight from the painted sky on the ceiling. This sky, variegated by clouds and enlivened by flights of birds, was painted by Eugène Appert, 1814 to 1867, who is not to be confused with the photographer Ernest Eugène Appert, 1830 to 1891. Lighting from these chandeliers is augmented by numerous candelabra, including those standing on black and gilt pedestals in front of each pier, all identical to those in the small dining room and made by Ferdinand Barbedienne. Apart from console tables, the main furniture is a long table surrounded by chairs. They are not the same chairs as were there under the Ministry of Finance. The table is laid with an electroplate setting made by Christoffel and commissioned by Achille Foult. This is the last of the rooms designed to be the apartments of the Imperial Minister of State, preserved by the Republican Ministry of Finance, opened to the public in 1993, and recently renovated. Exiting from the apartments through a door in the northeast corner of the Theatre Salon, visitors find themselves in a corridor beside the dining rooms. A spiral staircase on the right-hand side leads up to where the silverware was kept. The windows on this side look out on the Cour Marly. On the left side is the servery view into the grand dining room.